basically what I'm going to say is the Milltown Dam was just breached, and for the first time in 100 years, the Blackfoot and Clark Fork rivers are flowing freely. Ready? 3, 2, 1. The Milltown Dam was just breached, and for the first time in 100 years, the Clark Fork and Blackfoot rivers are flowing freely. Do you think it's better to start on me and then go to water, or start on the water and then go to me?
A river teaches us something about ourselves. You never step in the same river twice. That relates to change. Change is going to happen. If you just sit down next to a river and watch it long enough, you'll see that change is inevitable.
There have been changes, a lot of changes. Some for the good, some for the bad, too.
Why does it have to change? Why can't it stay forever?
The time span of people is so short compared to, say, the stories that the river has to tell.
I probably owe my very existence to the fact that there were some wealthy people that mined that area and created jobs and everything for everybody. We earned a lot of money, but they had no respect for the land at all.
Hello and welcome to the Berkeley Pit viewing stand. Mining began in Butte in 1864, and by the turn of the century, the copper produced from this hill, called the richest hill on earth, not only electrified America, but also financed the Industrial Revolution. Plans to enlarge the open pit along Butte's east side surfaced in 1952. That decision would affect several historic neighborhoods. They were all swallowed up by mining expansion. And while painful, most folks realized that Butte's economic stability relied on mining. The pit grew to become not only the largest truck-operated open pit mine in the United States, but also the richest copper mine. Approximately 1.4 billion tons of ore were extracted from the Berkeley Pit.
My grandparents had a ranch up there. The Clark Fork was running red and yellow. The arsenic would settle into those pastures, and it would eat the cattle's hooves till they would split and bleed. Well, then, of course, you lost your livestock.
At that time, in Butte, the practice was to use the rivers as your dumping ground. They did it there on a very large scale from mines and smelters, from one of the largest copper mines on the planet Earth.
To learn more about the Berkeley Pit, be sure to read the informational signs located here in the viewing stand. Or you can pick up a copy of Pit Watch, a locally produced newspaper documenting the history and ongoing cleanup here at the pit. You can even see and touch some of the rocks and minerals extracted from the pit inside the Butte Copper Company gift shop. Take 5 in our beautiful picnic area. Thank you for visiting today, and we hope to see you again soon.
I didn't ever think about Butte being harmful to people. I probably didn't realize, how much harm it had done.
here I am from the Anaconda area, which was just desolate up and through there. That smelter killed everything off. I come down into Bonner. Here is this beautiful little town. The decorator trees are the birch and the maple and all the green lawns. It's actually a joy to be a part of it.
It was a wonderful thing when I think about it, that you could live right in the middle of 3 different rivers.
I fished the Blackfoot River with 5 generations of my family. I've had a lot of wonderful things happen with the people I love here. You cannot be on water without being emotionally and intellectually affected. Humans have always had that attraction to connecting with something afar. Well, rivers, that's what they do. They connect ecosystems, they connect living things, the good and the bad and the ugly.
The dam was part of our life. We thought it was wonderful, really, because that was the way it was.
William A. Clark decided that this would be a wonderful place to generate electricity. He thought big. This was a perfect area. It was at the confluence of 2 rivers. They needed support for the mines, and they needed timber for that.
Well, they finished it up 1908, the year of the big flood, the high water.
Luck of the draw, the timing was that we had the biggest flood on record in May of 1908, a flood that we've not seen since then. It transported sediments downstream in very large quantities, and there was this new reservoir down here at Milltown, 100 miles downstream, that provided a settling pond for those sediments, and it filled up right away. 6 months after the thing was built, it was filled with contaminated sediments.
Over the years, more sediments washed down, burying the sediments that were brought in 1908, which was the bulk of what filled up the reservoir, and that set everything in motion.
People in Milltown, I think, always knew there was something wrong with their water. The health department actually went out and did a water supply inspection here in Milltown in 1981. And as part of that routine inspection, took a water sample and sent it off to the lab. And it came back with very high levels of arsenic. Where would arsenic be coming from in a town where they make plywood? They don't use arsenic to make plywood.
This was a real iconic mill community. The mill was the heart of this whole area for 100 years.
They made the biggest lumber mill in the Northwest. It was the place to work.
And the people, they realized it too. They were proud of it. They rivaled any college-educated engineer. And they made it work, and it was one of the most productive mills anywhere.
If I had a nickel for every piece of mine timber that I helped make and send over to Butte, I could have retired 10 years before I did.
I'm daydreaming in the window of the schoolhouse thinking, man, I'm going to be working at that mill. I can't wait to get on over there. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to be this, that, and the other. I want to go to work. And I stayed there for 45 years.
The mill brought the school. The mill donated the land for the Lutheran and Catholic Church. The mill provided midnight acquisitions for lumber for guys in Milltown to build their houses. It was everything. I think this was a place in time that was unusual because lumber mills typically don't last over 100 years anywhere.
Everyone thought it would go on forever. I don't know that they planted any trees out there to keep growing, but there certainly was a lot of mountains around to cut more trees. That mill was there forever, we all felt. Had no idea that there would be trouble with the lumber.
Years ago, everybody knew everybody. Most of the time, people got along together. They had to. They worked together, you know.
You had to be careful of what you said about any one person because everybody was related some way or other to everybody else.
What you want to hear? This song I wrote a long time ago. Haven't you been the picture? Stood upright in the corner on his sin. Every lost picture of me and Jack by ourselves.
There was just this feeling of permanence about the community. And then over the years, as it's changed, that definitely went away. You just didn't know everybody anymore, where they came from, you know.
I happened to be on my way out to take water samples. The water was, at that point, it was a real silvery gray color. I'd never seen anything like it. And I said, well, maybe I'll just take a sample here and see what happens. The results showed really high levels of copper in the river, at levels way above what you'd expect to kill fish. Up until that point, we really had no serious discussion of dam removal. And most people thought we were pretty crazy. And we probably were.
West Slope cutthroat trout, they travel scores of miles to go spawn. They need those corridors. When you put a wall like that in the river, then you have a complete change of the ecosystem immediately above and immediately below. That's a rather complete change. It created a very dangerous place for migrating native fish.
Imagine yourself as a space visitor from another planet coming to visit planet Earth 1,000 years from now. And they look down the landscape. They're still going to see the Berkeley Pit. That's the scale of change that we have wrecked on the landscape. We can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. But what we can do is get the waste out of the water and out of contact with people.
There was serious conflict during those days. People were really attached to the reservoir. People had their favorite fishing spots and so forth.
So you've got these impounded sediments that contain high levels of metals, one of which is arsenic. Basically, that arsenic is leaching out of the soil, and it's going into the aquifer, which is beneath the soil, and then making its way out into the water table and where the wells are drilled. But the sediments were also in danger of going downstream. Just a simple fact of that stuff being impounded there and not having water flowing and flushing it out, it concentrated at levels that became toxic.
The Clark Fork River has carried a heavy burden for us. It's been a hard-working river for the last century and a half. It's done our dirty work. It's carried our industrial waste, mining waste, our sewage, everything we've asked it to do. We hammered this river.
Managing of the water and the removal of the sediments is probably, in the grand scheme of things, a bigger project than the dam removal itself. We took out 2.3 million cubic yards of sediment.
I think personally, I would have rather it had been left like it was from my young days. It really changed a lot of people's lives, and a lot of people were older and never got over it. I still kind of close my eyes when we drive past there to come up here because it doesn't look like the river and anything there that it was when I grew up. It's not like it used to be.
It's a challenge in life to not see, if you really look, some good and some bad. And to argue that that dam was all bad and that it ought not have been built, you can argue it, but it can be argued on the other side. If you have always had to fight for every bit of food and every bit of roof over your head for your entire life, then you can't always afford to look much beyond taking care of yourself and your loved one. And that dam, to some degree, at one time, that's what it did. It fed a lot of people. It helped feed a lot of people. Rivers are special. It is that thing which tells us whether or not we are doing Mother Earth justice. And what we do right here affects way out in the ocean.
It's still large tracts of privately owned land, and they're going to go to whoever buys them for whatever purpose.
if you've ever lived in a town like that, you thought it was a wonderful town. And then when it all closed down and it just was kind of like trash sitting around, that was a real heartbreak to a lot of us.
I guess that's why I like to work on the history, because I'm afraid that people aren't going to remember anything about the society that was here before.
That mill was built to mill timber, mining timbers for the mines in Butte. It was built by the Copper Kings. Anaconda Copper Mining Company operated that mill for 80 years or something like that. That sawmill could not exist in a modern era. The buildings are so large. The scale of logging will never be what it was when it was operating. There was certainly some discontent, I'm sure, among some people, but it would never make any money. The trees aren't there in this area for that kind of mill to ever run again. Most of the big, easy timber's been cut down.
That was a really tragic time, you might say, for all of us. All those people that had to go away. Their homes were there, they didn't want to leave, and they had to because they had to go somewhere to find work.
All done, all 200. 125 noise, Jim. I don't want 125, 125, 125, 125 it is. Yep. $45 that it is. Sold at $35. Buyer ticket number 78, 124, and 124 to buy. Okay, move, miss. Going this way. Right through here. Go, 25. Come on, John. I have 25. $10 in the fan. I have 50. I don't $20 out. I got 15 there, put it out. I have 15, 20, 20. I have 20. I'm 30. I have 30. I have 38. I have 20, 30, put it out. I have 20, 30, 20, 30. I have 40. I don't 40. I don't 50. I got 40, 50, 40, 50 to you. I have 40, 50 to you, sir. I have 40, 50, 50. Sold at $40. No, thank you, sir. We appreciate that.
There's always some people who are opposed to the buildings being removed. For a lot of people, it's just a change. They're used to seeing that building and their landscape has changed. So there's always some people who are a little unhappy about the buildings coming down, but we don't really pay that a lot of mind. It's not our decision to tear them down. We're just people being hired, and we feel like our job is to reuse and salvage and keep as much out of the landfill as we can, and that's what we do. Most of the buildings were from teens, 20s, 30s. Beautifully crafted, big heavy iron, heavy timbers. All the material from that mill was exceptional quality. And we had hundreds of thousands of board feet of material that we salvaged from that property.
start walking into your shot.
I think it looks better if I'm not walking, because if I'm walking
Yeah, walking is whatever. I can't get on the bike.
You know what we need? Is if you could get a shot right now of the crowd, because we can't start off the package with my stand-up. We just need we need something like, you know, crowd gathered beforehand.
Take their positions. Those coons.
It's going.
Hydropower is clean power from a lot of aspects, but having a big obstruction in the river has a lot of impacts to the fisheries and to the natural process of the river. At some point, it was a liability that somebody had to worry about. It wasn't needed anymore. It was causing problems, and I think ultimately, people look back and say it was a good idea. It was either going to have a lot of money spent on it to make it stable, or it was going to have to come out. I think it was a matter of time.
When the dam came out, the arsenic levels dropped quickly. Who would have thought that that could happen? But you give nature half a chance, and it will recover.
Looking forward to kind of watching the things kind of get better and better in the floodplain, and kind of neat to look over at the bluff and not be able to tell there was ever a dam here. I think that's really says a lot.
It's pretty beautiful to think what is now possible that wasn't possible for over 100 years, and to think about all of the other living things that is much more important to them than it even is to us.
We're all interested to see what our community, what our river, and it is our river, everybody's interested in watching it come back. You can see the plants starting to come back. You can see the animals starting to come back. It's building itself back up. And so I think that's pretty remarkable, the way nature is reclaiming itself.
You got to be receptive to change. We ain't cutting boards no more. What could come out of this area if we start getting ready and accept something new that's going to come in?
Our memories are pretty short. I think we can adjust to what we have.
Through the years after I'm gone, I think that's when you're going to really see the benefits. You know, sometimes we just got to stop, smell roses, and see what the hell we're doing.